26, 2021. So let's take a look at the market as a week. Essentially, we're seeing a lot of the same every single day. We're seeing that bullish drift back into all-time highs. So far, from the daily perspective, we really haven't seen a strong sell signal. Strong sellers have not really convinced the bullish momentum that things are over. And we're seeing a lot of continuation in stocks that have already either reported or just seeing new breakouts. Basically, some stocks that have been trending using this market momentum and breaching their respective highs. So as we shift into our Nasdaq, we simply want to note that some of that potential pivoting action from yesterday is also seeing a bit of that bullish drift. Essentially, the market is having some trouble pulling back, and that shows us that currently stronger sellers are not quite stepping in. Ultimately, looking at the cues, we're trying to see sort of which level are they going to try and pause the market. And if I draw this sort of upper level near the previous balance zone before a major gap down sell-off, we have gone ahead and re-tagged it. So QQQ still on watch. Ultimately, this market is sort of the shakiest in regards to position and location relative to the SPY. And with the that ETF, basically that's the one of concern. If it does pull back, we do expect maybe some choppy or consolidative price action across the SPY. But at this point, given that we've breached a new all-time high, I'd certainly be looking for pullback buys relative to a full, basically retracement back to that low. Basically, the market has negated that selling pressure from a few weeks prior, and ultimately looking for the market to trend relative or compared to a full retracement. Same idea with the Dow. Obviously, with the bullishness in the SPY and certain sectors of the SPY really leading the pack, the Dow has been creeping up as well, seeing new all-time highs and ultimately closing above them, which is more critical from the perspective of longer time frame participants. Essentially, they're accepting the fact that we are moving outside of this range. And just like with every range, we want to sort of measure high to low and talk about how far can that move go. So when we look at this range as a whole, we're looking at approximately about a $18 to $20 range using the ETF. A measured move here could see us up into the 370s if this range simply creeps higher and higher. And that's a very simple way to sort of gauge some of the upside potential or downside potential of a breakout. Last but not least, the IWM. So one thing we've been discussing inside of the chat room is the potential for IWM to sort of lead the pack moving forward. And what makes this hard to see initially is the simple fact that the IWM has been stuck in a very powerful and very convincing trading range for a long period of time. But as with most ranges, the idea behind range breakouts is that you either want to be a bit early and therefore improving your risk to reward, or start to look for those inner range signals that something is about to change. And what I'd like to do is spend just a few minutes explaining the potential idea of a possible IWM breakout, along with the fact that we have other aspects of the market that are already doing this breakout. So for example, the Dow. We saw how convincing that trading range was. If I shift back to the DIAs, that range, of course, being set by our buying climax, our relative lows. You can even argue that the first low is sort of the beginning of this range. This is a bit of a false breakdown, a full range traversal back to this buying climax high. Another false breakout, little bit of choppy action, market volatility, and now we're seeing the bullish creep. This one being a bit more convincing as we haven't yet seen any pullback yet, and additionally, we haven't seen much pivoting. Now, with these sort of bullish creeps, the thing that helps the market move forward is the idea that shorts essentially are using the same tactics as they have been for this range. And just like we've seen, it's been advantageous for shorts to take this high in the IWM, take any breach of the IWM, and short it, basically bringing it back either in range, that of course mid-range point of about 220. We know that from our volume profile and the analysis we've done prior. This is a very sticky range, and there's a massive volume profile volume shelf here, so it's very challenging to move outside of it. Along with the fact that being long, your best advantage was to basically buy certain dips. There's been sort of the initial volatility setting of this range, a retest, a higher low, multiple range compression events here. This one being a bit more inner range and ultimately closer to VPOC, since we are seeing that pennant formation and the range essentially tightening around this area. Now, as this market forms, and I'll go ahead and just remove all these studies for now, we'll just look at price. As this market forms, the more compression we're getting and the tighter this range gets, then we can start to understand that if a breakout occurs, the power of that breakout should not be underestimated. Essentially, the longer we spend here, the stronger the breakout could potentially be. And that's simply because we've built up a lot of energy over time. There's been people who are still short. Obviously, they haven't necessarily hit their stop loss to the upside. They may be using a new all-time high or some price higher above this range. And the longs, if they have been buying near that range low or starting to accumulate on the compression, they haven't been stopped out either. They're starting to see some profitability, and ultimately, as long as they don't profit take too drastically, then the range and the breakout can continue as the supply and demand imbalance is ultimately forming. But as technical traders, we're also looking for a bit of additional information. We're trying to find maybe a trigger. And what I'd like to consider for this market is something known as the TTM squeeze. Now, for those unfamiliar with this indicator, it's a bit of a combination or an aggregation of multiple studies. A lot of people use things like Bollinger Bands as a bit of a way to understand conditions of the market. And with this study, I'll go ahead and remove the midline here as it's not necessarily needed. Let's take all that off. We can see that as that pennant was forming, the Bollinger Bands were starting to compress. Essentially, the volatility of this market was coming down as we were bouncing back and forth. There wasn't any range expansion, and therefore range compression occurred instead. Now, another study, maybe a bit lesser known, is Keltner Channels. Another very similar idea here. They tried to define volatility compression and ultimately how these two studies interact with each other can act as a bit of a signal for momentum or breakout style trades. Once again, seeing that midline, not super important for the analysis. So I'll go ahead and take it off. Now, what's starting to occur here, at least on the daily perspective, is we have our, let's see, make sure I'm highlighting the right channels here. So this should be our Keltners. And we're looking at upper band and lower band. I'll just change these to the same color, make that a little bit easier to read. And then our Bollinger Bands, let's make those all purple. Once again, looking for how these indicators or how these studies are interacting with each other. And when using these studies initially, it can be a little challenging because we're seeing back and forth price action obviously we're in this range, so there's been some false signals in the past. But what the TTM squeeze study tries to do is aggregate a lot of this sort of false back and forth price action and put it in very simplistic if-then scenarios. So what I'll do here is, instead of looking at the channel interaction, which we've seen that back and forth, sort of the crossing of previously compressed Bollingers or previously compressed Keltners, we're looking for this market to expand and sort of ride the top side of these channels in some sort of breakout. And when it comes to maybe standard deviation channels, another way to sort of look at some expectation on a breakout. So let's take these two off and let's switch instead to our TTM squeeze. So what this indicator is showing is we're getting a possible compression event on the daily time frame. The compression event is comprised of the Bollinger Bands and the Keltner Channels coming and crossing such that the price is getting basically squeezed in the sense of the indicator to a point where if it starts to break out or move away from this compression area, then we have an idea of how long and how far this can go. So we've been talking inside of the chat room about the idea that this daily squeeze is starting to form. And what we're seeing is that before this squeeze triggered, which is indicated by these red dots, each of them being a day time frame, before this squeeze triggered, we were already seeing some bullish momentum forming, giving us a sign that instead of it being a bearish breakdown or a bearish squeeze, it might instead be a bullish, basically hinting at the direction. Not necessarily that it's going to trigger, but if it does trigger, we want to be in the bullish camp. So obviously, over the past couple of days, the daily has already fired. So what we're looking at is a roughly 15 to 20 day squeeze. You can go ahead and throw this up and count the dots. I've not done that, I would say exactly, but let's just say 15, eyeballing it here. And we've already fired for a few days. That has led, at least in the sense of the technicals on the chart, to a break of the pennant. We're starting to see this sort of retracement resistance breach. And we're also seeing the market sort of creep into a swing high. So far, so good. This is actually starting to potentially trend. And all I have to do is pull up our moving averages to see that all of our moving averages are aligned in the direction of a bullish trend. We have 20 and 50 and 200. We're just now starting to see the 50 cross the 200. And if this continues, I would expect that to form sort of our bands of support. Basically, a trending market, you want to see all the moving averages in the same direction. You want to see them all sloping in your direction and obviously ordered correctly. And depending on which one is acting as support, that'll be gauged by whichever pullback sort of sets up the trend. Basically, the first swing low into a new swing high for an uptrend. Now, all this aside, this seems fairly simplistic. So when it comes to this range breaking out, what sort of energy does this market need for it to get out of this area for the first time since last February? And this is where higher time frame analysis comes in. All I have to do is shift it over to the weekly. We can see that the weekly is still technically in a fairly decent uptrend in regards to the 50 sloping up and the 20 having flattened out over time, attempting to curl back with some of this bullish momentum. Now, once again, that's not enough. This range has been trick, trap, full, frustrate everybody who's been long, unless you're taking it just from high to low or taking scalps. But let's go ahead and add our squeeze. What are we starting to see on the weekly? Well, we're seeing that same sort of early sign on the weekly. The idea that the daily squeeze has already triggered. From a pure, has the daily squeeze gone off? The answer is yes. We've seen a few days of that trigger moving throughout the indicator. But what's starting to happen on the weekly is the same early signs of that potential squeeze starting to form and the first signs of bullish momentum showing up on the histogram. Now, what makes it so interesting to me is that last time we saw this market squeeze, just pull it back to about 10 years, we saw this time frame here. This was about a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 week squeeze that led to a bullish breakout, and this market basically went from about 145 to 170 at the time. That's, of course, before COVID sort of reset everything. Additionally, this market has been one of the strongest performers during certain economic timeframes. The idea is that looking at when did this market perform, I would argue this gap up sort of set up this explosive move to the upside. Look back at things like the interest rates, look back at the dollar, look back at what sectors or industries were performing during this time and see what carried this market forward. And then finally, just from a technical sense, we don't even need to worry about this being an index, but think about the power of something like a daily breakout. And using that daily breakout, think about the power of a weekly breakout, which had the, I would say, facilitation of the daily leading to the weekly. Basically, dominoes are starting to fall. And if everything sort of continues to roll in that direction, I certainly would like to be involved in something that powerful. Essentially, if we're looking at just this range and we sort of extrapolate the idea that a bullish breakout could occur, well, at this point, we start looking at fibs. We start looking at how far can this market extend. Something as simple as going up to about 245 to 250 brings us to the 161. We can also be additionally bullish and just say, how wide is this range overall? Can we take a measured move from a breakout and extrapolate? I don't exactly know where that level is, but it's definitely off my chart. So I definitely want to be involved with that if that's going to be true. And ultimately, depending on how many signals you need as a trader, ultimately it's going to define your risk to reward. The longer you wait for confirmation, the less risk to reward you can anticipate before volatility shows its face, before a possible pullback. Obviously, if you're looking for range breakouts, we are right at the tipping edge of this range, with the argument being that previous attempts to expand have failed. So the level, the one that truly matters, is the high of this weekly candle, which is approximately 230. Everything else is simply noise. These are failed attempts to expand, and therefore they do not define our range. What defines our range is the initial setting of the level. So some possible trade ideas here. Obviously, if you're looking long, then you want to start considering some option strategies. You may want to consider things like selling premium. If you are truly long, then this market should never have to retest some of these lows. So selling premium in this area may be something worthwhile. Obviously looking maybe 60 to 90 days out in time, not necessarily a weekly trade. This is a weekly and monthly range. We need to play in the right time frame for this trade. Additionally, whatever long exposure you have, I would be looking at something that isn't necessarily defined in terms of your upside potential. So very simple ideas, of course, being just buying calls. That, of course, can be a bit expensive, especially since we're looking at a possible weekly and monthly breakout. That is going to cost a lot, hence why we're looking at selling premium. I'd also be considering maybe some buying and selling using that sold premium to facilitate your undefined long trades, i.e. maybe some out of the money call spreads, to get started, and as it moves forward, sort of loosening up the top side definition. You could also look at something called a back ratio. Now, I'm not going to get into this too much as we don't have the time to truly define what this looks like. But a simple back ratio would be something like going out maybe 66 days. So here I'm just looking at the end of the year. You scroll down and you say, okay, what am I getting paid if I wanted to sell at the money premium? This is one way to do it. There's multiple ways you can define this trade. But let's say, for example, I like the fact that I'm getting paid about $7 to be short the 230 calls, basically to collect some premium, and I'm willing to take that risk. But I'm also not willing to just sell premium. I want to buy some long exposure. So what I do is I take that $7, I scroll out a little bit, and I'm obviously very aggressive here. I'm looking at something that has very strong momentum if it does break out. And I'm going and say, okay, well, I can use that $7 and I can buy maybe 2 of these 238s. I can roll that premium into something more long. And obviously here I'm actually collecting a little bit of a credit. Depending on which strikes you take, you'll actually see that either decrease into more credit, or you can even pay a small debit. Now, when you're thinking about this type of trade, break it down into its key components. All I've done is I've sold at the money premium and I've bought out of the money premium. I've bought long exposure, not only away from the current strike price, but also out in time. You know, they're both essentially in the same strike, but this is a little bit of a further out in time trade. And what I'm doing here is I'm saying this market is going to move. I believe that this market will not spend a lot of time in these price ranges. Therefore, if I analyze my trade, what I'm seeing is that if I am wrong, always look at the case where you're wrong first. I don't care about reward. Let's talk about risk. If I am wrong to the downside, then all I did was pay about $62 to put on this trade. Essentially, I don't expect this trade to really profit or loss, but I'm paying a little bit of debit initially to open. If this market does not move, essentially if I'm wrong about the momentum, I do have to consider this downside area right here, essentially where the sold at the money premium and the bought out of the money premium, whenever that tipping point occurs, is where the sold call spread and the bought 237 out of the money call converge, and that's going to be at exactly 237. Now, the great thing about back ratios is this does take a bit of time to essentially coalesce into that risk. I'm going to expand this out a bit and simply draw up the time frame here as the market and time is moving. You can see that the profitability really doesn't delve into this area for a while. The purple line is showing that profitability curve. And as time goes on, as long as this market continues to move, I stay in the green. And as you can see, if this market does start to move, what I've done is I've used some premium to essentially allow myself unlimited upside potential. Same idea as simply buying a call, but instead of paying $4 to $5 for an out of the money call or $7 for an at the money call, I've gone ahead and made that a cheap trade to enter. Therefore, if I am wrong to the downside, I only lose, in this case, $62 roughly. And if I'm wrong on momentum, then I can cover or roll this trade appropriately. Basically manage the trade while not dealing with depreciation on my out of the money calls, which will depreciate very quickly. So this is simply a trade idea. There's multiple ways to set this up, but the idea is very simple. Selling some premium, in this case, call spread premium, to facilitate a long biased approach in this market. and that's putting together a technical overview, that's putting together some studies and indicators that indicate the type of strength where we may be about to see. And ultimately, the longer you wait on this type of setup, the worse your risk to reward is going to be. Once this market starts moving, in my opinion, I believe this market will not look back for very long. It should be fairly explosive. And I think that explosion should occur if the weekly squeeze does ever trigger. So keep all that in mind. Some possible ideas here. And no matter how you set this up, whether you're buying shares, going into TNA and buying some of the leveraged ETFs, going ahead and buying a call, maybe you don't understand any of the spread nonsense, that's fine. Just understand that there's different ways to skin this cat. This cat has some potential claws. Ultimately, how you define your risk is going to be the key to the success of this trade. So keep all that in mind. Be watching the IWM over the next couple of days, if not weeks. And basically, if this starts to trigger, look back on this session and say, you know, everything was in my favor. Everything's lining up towards this narrative. So why didn't I put on the trade? So keep all that in mind. And with that said, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Market. I think last but not least, we have a lot of stocks that are in play today. We had some nice volatility on BKKT. That obviously was a strong momentum name yesterday. The likes of maybe DWAC and Fun starting to fade a bit. And that is rolling into some new names, basically the next round of shorts getting squeezed. We can also see that this had some continuation after hours. And this is definitely a stock on watch. Very similar to DWAC, of course. Be very careful for halts on this one, especially if we start to break out of 60. We can see a very similar sort of pattern and structure here, albeit this one probably will not hit those same elevated price levels, just simply from the setup. I would say this one might top out closer to 100 if we do get the breakout. So additionally, some other names that have broken. We're seeing a lot of volatility in some maybe highly shorted names. OCGN coming off of a trend line bounce and a gap fill on the daily. Genus, that one actually broke yesterday during the session and maybe pulling back during the pre-market, but keep all these on watch. Some will not be on our scanners due to the ATR considerations, but depending on your style, depending on your strategy, there's plenty of stocks that are breaking out, and mainly it's just kind of identifying which ones give us the best setups. So with that said, obviously stay tuned for pre-market prep, and we'll talk more tomorrow. We'll dive a little bit deeper into some of the earnings. Facebook came out with theirs. That one was a bit of a non-event, but we are seeing a little bit of a drift this morning back into the close of Monday. So trade safe, and we'll talk more then.
All right. Good morning, everyone. One second. Let me get the volume to our chat room. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone is having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, buddy. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Cannot complain. As we start another day of trading, some pretty interesting weather here as we are just getting flooded with some rain showers over and over again. But outside of that, things are pretty good. Um, let's see here. Okay, perfect. All right, guys, let's take a look at what we had on our list yesterday. I mean, yesterday was interesting to say the least. I found my watch list to be slightly more difficult than others. Here is PayPal, guys. PayPal's had a beautiful, beautiful drop. Great pre-market action. We knew was going to be in play, and it did very well. It did just that. Nice, beautiful drop here at the market open. Gives you a very aggressive pullback on that first 5 minute. Tests the VWAP and the moving averages, and then look at this beautiful drop, continuing breaking the low of the day at that time. You got a nice little move here on PayPal. Then from there, it became pretty flat. But again, the first part of the day was really, really nice. Next, we have pins. Now, pins was nasty. Pins was not clean. And again, we talked about this thing not selling off anymore because it was very extended in the pre-market, right? We talked about this thing was down, what, 15%, if I remember the number correctly. It was down quite a bit. And we just didn't know how much more downside we were going to have below 48. 48 was a strong daily level. We also found as well, we knew that was going to be an issue to try to lose that level. And it was. Did not result in a nice uptrend, right? It was just look at the chop, just or every candle overlapping the previous one. Every time you think it's going to be a breakout, huge drop right back to the start of that candle. So this is horrible price action to trade, guys. This is where you get chopped up a couple of times. Just can't get a rhythm on this one. Eventually, it did break out here, but it was just nasty. It was nothing clean about it yesterday. Here is AMC. AMC, on the other hand, did give you a nice little pop there. It did break out at the market open. Does come back to the highs of the pre-market right on here. You got this level clearly 35 38 35.80 or so. Actually, I don't think that was the high of the pre-market, but that was the level in the pre-market that was yeah, I think the high was higher. Yeah, the high was all the way up here just because it had this weird candle, but you clearly tell this level here 35.80 was significant, right? Nice breakout out of that. Does give you an aggressive pullback though at the market open, and then you finally get the beautiful run, and it doesn't do much for the rest of the day. So again, it was not an easy day. Here's Mark. Mark, beautiful drop. No, not a big continuation. And I don't know if we even had shares for short on this one. I don't recall. But again, just one initial drop. From there, it does nothing for the rest of the day. So that's pretty quiet there. Here's Facebook. Facebook had a really rough start. Every time you thought it was going to get going, it just dropped right back down to this 30 320 320.50 level right on here. I did that
Why
for
I
a
don't
while.
trade things in anticipation of earnings,
Yeah.
brother. Somebody
Yeah.
brought that up that they had earnings late in the day. We put it on the
Hmm.
list. I guess I never do that. It doesn't make sense to me. You're trading something that hasn't happened and doesn't, isn't going to do anything a lot of times.
Yeah. Agreed, man. It had a great pre-market action. It did not turn into anything. But look at these drops, just constantly just dropping right back down. Eventually, you got one that stuck here. But again, you would have been stopped out a couple of times looking for this breakout. You do get a continuation there. But again, it was not pretty at the market open. Tesla is probably the only one that ended up just doing some huge numbers here, guys. Look at this thing. It just took off here, broke out nicely from the highs of the day. Did give it wasn't an easy start though. It wasn't a clean start. It took a while to get going, but once it did, it never looked back, man. This thing hitting what 1045 now is the all-time high on this. Just insane madness. Opened up at 953, ran up $100. So just insane. Tesla was very clean. You had to get past this little rough area right on here. Once you did that, it was a green pastures all the way outside of that. So that was yesterday. Again, not the easiest day.
How can you go
Did I
through
miss
all
one?
that and not look at BKKT? You missed V1.
Oh yeah, yes, BKKT. Yes. This one here, I didn't have it on my list, but I know, I know we were watching it yesterday, man. It's just insane madness here. This thing pre-market, guys. This thing we were talking about this one
Yeah,
was like
it's
nine
my nickname
bucks.
for it too, guys. Is bucket.
Yeah, it was like at $9. This thing ends up at 31, 35. Couple of halts on
Look
the
at it
way
this
up.
morning. It's $50.
It's insane. Yeah, it's madness. Yeah, it's definitely on our list today.
I know Brian swung some of this. He had a few hundred shares he held on our night, and he'll be a happy
He
man this
did.
morning.
Oh, very nice, very nice. And what's the float on this? Let's remind ourselves here. 38. Yeah, so it's just not bad. It's just madness. It's just insane. So we'll definitely be on our list today as well, as we prepare this morning. Norm, what do we have as far as market overall data?
Yeah, I mean, nothing prior to the open. 9 a.m. we've got Case-Shiller Home Price Index, and then 10 a.m. we've got consumer confidence and new home sales. So, I mean, as we mentioned, we were, kind of in doldrums for a while. It took a little bit longer than it's sometimes due to overcome the summer funk. I was telling 2 weeks ago. It's funny that I'm just thinking back. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, I was in a meeting with the BBT traders, or excuse me, PCT traders, and mentioned this is not the time to go crazy. The market sucks right now. We're missing we're missing volatility. Hang on, don't try to make all your money right now. Give it a couple weeks, and we're gonna have plenty of opportunities. And here we are. So, good stuff.
Agree 100%. It's a whole different market, guys. 100%, and we're seeing that. So, cool. Let's get to it, guys. Let's see what we have here on our gappers list this morning. Starting with, of course, BKKT is on here. Got a couple of stuff in the green, a couple of tickers we have not seen in some time here that I'm not aware of, like Perry, CNTX. We'll see what's going on there. And some other ones that we've seen quite a bit making some noise, like DWAC is on here as well. We'll see what's going on there. So let's hop into it. Let's remove our watch list from yesterday. Let's get rid of this here. Control A, Control X. That clears that up. And then let's start here with obviously BKKT. Not a low flow stock, but I will put it on the risky pile, guys. You have to be careful with this one.
A heads up on this. So this is... that their float's 21 million on FinViz. So sometimes we get a little bit off. Yeah. This trades more like it's 20 million than 40 million, but nevertheless.
Yeah, I agree. That's quite a bit of a difference there. But guys, you just got to look at the price action, right? If you look at this price action, this thing is risky. It's very volatile. You got candles here going for $2 easily. So you just got to manage your risk, right? Today up 58%. Man, is this after being up, what, 70% or plus yesterday? 10 million shares traded.
300%.
It was 300%. I remember the
200%, whatever. It went from 10 to 30, so it was more than 100%.
Exactly. So just madness there, guys. Definitely in play. We'll keep that on the list. Next, OCGN, one of the ones that we've seen quite a few times on our list this morning. They're up 27.2. 7 million shares traded. So a nice big pop for them. I do not like their pre-market action, but this is typical OCGN action. They tend to do this. They'll throw heavy volume and they'll trade like this in the pre-market. I don't really like the way they trade. Their price action for me is a little bit funky, but again, we've seen incredible trades from the community on this one. I'll put it on here. We'll do some levels for it. We'll prepare, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. I'll tell you that much. But definitely
I agree with you. I believe this pop is on a rumor of some documents out of the WHO about their COVID meds. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of this one. I don't dig too deep.
I'm not either, man. It's just I think I traded probably twice, and both times it was just a horrible experience with the price action. I just stopped looking at it. But we'll do some levels. I know there's a few people that do like this one and can trade it very well. And again, everybody's different. You got to go for what you're good at, right? ORIV this morning is up 30%, 251,000. So we got a very interesting pre-market action here. What's the flow? It's got to be really low. What's the flow? Actually, no, 372 million.
No,
right.
Once again, FinViz is saying the entire outstanding shares 51 million, and it doesn't have float data. So this is a recent de-SPAC, and it's out of the UK. So that usually is a red flag for me. Stocks out of the UK usually don't trade all that well.
This thing has a 40-cent spread at times.
Biotech, guys. I'd be super careful on that.
Yeah,
Either what, be super careful.
yeah, I'm not even gonna add this to my list, guys. This is just trading very wild right now. I mean, literally, I saw 40 cent spread on an $8 stock. I'm not adding this on here. No way. All right, moving down. TIGR this morning, they are up 16%, 3.5 million shares traded. Interesting pre-market action. You got the one pop early on. It hasn't done much as far as a range in the last couple of hours. We'll put it on here. We'll come back to it. Next, AGC on our list this morning. They are up 14.5, 2.2 million shares traded. Nice pop here this morning. I don't think we ever traded this one. Flow on this is 49. We'll come back to it. It looks a little funky though. It looks a little funky as far as the activity. The daily definitely doesn't look great. Very light volume for the most part.
This is the shell corp that that Grab is gonna de-SPAC with. So
okay, all right. I'm not sure how great that catalyst is gonna be, man.
I
mean,
I don't know.
we'll come back to it. Let's see what it does.
Yeah.
Here's a Perry, 30 million.
We can be
shares.
picky this morning. You know, like 2 weeks ago, we'd have been killing to get that.
Oh yeah, we'll
We
be
can be
dying for
picky
that. Agree. Perry this morning, pre-market action doesn't look bad, guys. 187,000. They're up 14%. Their daily seems to move quite a bit here. The one thing I see that I don't like here is the volume. You're barely getting 1 million shares traded here on all these days, even though you're moving quite a bit. So that is going to translate to some pretty nasty price action. This morning, they're trading a little bit on the higher side than they normally do. So maybe that could be a difference. We'll see. Let's go move down. Dkng this morning up. No, excuse me. Yeah, they're up 8.2. Interesting pre-market action. Do they have any earnings or something? I mean, looks
On which
pretty. Dkng. What's going on with
they
these
were
guys?
There was a takeover that they called off pursuing, so they're popping on that.
Okay. All right. That's worth taking a look at. Let's see if that news can do something here. They definitely got the volume, 1.8 million. Nasty pre-market action right now. Let's see if that can settle down and we can get some kind of movement out of this. I like the daily, guys, slamming up against this area of resistance right on here. We broke out of that, hit a new pre-market high there. Let's see if that can turn into anything. All right, I'm going to stop here. Actually, wait, there's some good ones here. We got DWAC. What is DWAC doing today? They're up 4%. Not a whole lot. I think this one is going to be very, very weird to trade today. But here's Nvidia. What's going on with Nvidia? Nvidia just continues to make new highs here. So new all-time high for Nvidia. This is worth watching. It's been trading very well. We'll put that on there. I'm going to skip down to PLTR. Anything good here? PLTR is making a move. Had a decent day yesterday. Up 2.2, 400,000. I'm only putting it as a possible, guys, because I know it could be a difficult stock to trade at times. It could be very, very choppy. All right. Let's take a look at what's gapping down. LMT this morning. Huge drop, 8.4. Wow, these guys are getting destroyed this morning from 376 to 344. Down 8.4, 109. You could tell, guys, this thing is I don't know how you trade this. This is a beast of a stock. The spread is at $2 spread.
Yeah, this is not a this is Lockheed Martin. This does not trade well. They had earnings this morning. They're getting smoked on that. That is a big drop for them.
Yes.
Just this typically, from what I've seen in the past, is not traded well.
Yeah, I don't think I ever traded this one. And you could tell here the volume is nasty as well on the daily. Yeah, we'll stay away from this. I mean, guys, 8.4 drop here with only 810,000 shares traded. Spread is
the spread's $1 right now. I mean, it's a $345 stock, so it's not as much as it seems, but it's just not. It trades fairly thin too. That's the problem with it. So
yeah, don't like that.
Average daily volume's 1 million shares roughly.
Yeah, not liking that at all, guys. Again, you're gonna get some funky price action, which price action is so important for us. We need that smooth, fluid price action. What's this Logic Tech? These guys don't trade very well neither. They're very light on volume. Also, they're not doing so good. Down 7% this morning. 189
last night.
Yeah,
warned of guidance because of supply chain issues specifically. That's getting them hit really hard.
Not sure how this one's going to trade, guys. Very light on the volume on the daily. I don't think we ever traded this one. I'll put it on here, but might not stay there. Beanie was active yesterday as well. Today they're down 4.3. Man, look at this. Look at this. This is Friday. right? 19 was slammed back down, and then we gap up to 18. It was just sold off the entire day here. So I think the fun might be over on this one. I just don't know how you would trade this today. So I'm going to leave that one off the list. DATS this morning, not doing a whole lot there. Don't like that one. BYND. What do we got going on here? BYND, we are down 3.2. Yes.
They got downgraded this morning out of Credit Suisse, saying that they've reached market saturation already.
Okay.
Turns out people don't want to eat it.
Yeah. We're gonna put. I don't even know if even to add this to our list. I guess we could put it as a possible. I do like the daily on this, guys. If this thing starts losing some ground here, this 92, this could be fun. There's Megan. I was waiting for Megan to say something.
Why do you only pop up when I talk about Beyond the Meat? You're chatty with everybody else, but when I'm around, you only pop up for Beyond the Meat. Oh.
It's funny. We don't hear from Megan for like days, and then if we talk about BYND, I think she might be watching on YouTube and she just logs in.
She lives in the Pacific time zone too. She usually trades later in the day. And I swear she just gets up. She has an alarm set for Beyond popping up on the gappers list so that she knows to get up to give me crap. if people that don't know or maybe on YouTube, we have Megan is in our room. She is a very accomplished vegan chef. She was on Chopped. Wonderful person, great trader. But she loves to give me hell when I joke about meat. So
BYND, we'll add BYND here as a possible on Megan's behalf. This morning, we'll take a look at that a little bit later. All right, so that covers our gappers list. Norm, Harry, thank you so much, man. Appreciate your constant support here. Where is I'll get that up in a second. But Norm, is there anything you like this morning?
I think we've gone over plenty that I can pick a few tickers that I like. I want to see what Bucket does, BKKT. So
Yeah, we have that on deck here as well. And Harry, there you go, man. Thank you so much for the donation this morning. $5 bomb. Appreciate you very much. Good morning, Love. Love all the new changes in the community with the stock simulator. Everyone smash that thumbs up button for BBT and in YouTube and chat room. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate the support all the time. Every donation, guys, is going to be matched by Andrew dollar for the charity of the month. This month we're going to be wrapping up with breast cancer for women. So that's going to be a nice one there. Okay, let's take it to the room, guys. See what we have going on here. BYND, I see a lot of BYND. We do have that. Hector, let's start with you. You have Facebook. Facebook this morning. All right, we got some movement on Facebook now. 754,000. They're up slightly. They were up pretty nice this morning, giving some back in the pre-market. Almost $8 they have lost since the highs of the pre-market here. So that could be interesting. Definitely in play. Let's take a look at that one. We have Lucid, however you want to say this one. This morning they are pretty much flat. They had a big day yesterday, pretty much flat right now, so I'm not sure what to expect out of them. I don't like the pre-market action as much, and this one they could be a little bit difficult to trade. Ricardo, thank you so much for the $10 bomb there, man. I appreciate that donation very, very much. Did not leave a message, but thank you for that. I appreciate
Ricardo, thank you very much. And Jared's just making it worse.
Jared's just egging on some stuff over there.
Beyond the Meat, how about tastes like feet? He's just with my picture. Make people think I said that.
Oh boy. Elsit, guys, here we do have some movement. I'm not a big fan of Elsit. Lucid, we'll put it on here. Let's see if it gets anything done this morning. I saw Neo, a firm, or here's where I left off. EJH. What is this? EJH. Archer giving us this one this morning. They are up 28%. Lower price. What's the float on this? EJH. Let's take a look here. EJH 6.7. So lower flow stock. They're definitely active. 4.7 million shares, up 30%. They're looking good this morning. Got a nice little pop here, a little pullback. Let's see if they can get going. We'll have to see. Let's see. Put this right here next to BKKT, next to Bucket. That is EJH. Mao, you're giving us a firm. this morning. Let's take a look. A-firm pretty quiet right now. They're only 44,000. I see what you're looking at. Daily looks good for a possible breakout there. That could turn into something. But right now, it's just pretty quiet at the moment. So I'm going to keep it off the list. A good one to look out for scanners if that does hit that. Here's NEO this morning. Big day yesterday. Right now, 783,000. We've seen better out of NEO. Their dailies has a very nice bullish trend here in the last couple of days, so that looks good.
DWAC's getting the volume.
Oh yeah, it's getting some volume there. We'll look at DWAC next. Yeah, this looks interesting. I gotta say, it looks interesting, NEO. Not in play just yet, but a daily does look very good. DWAC this morning. What do we have going on here? Okay, now we got some stuff going on here with DWAC. I'm gonna put this right here above bucket because you got to be very careful with this one, but they are getting a nice move here. This morning up 12%, 2.3 million. The volume is just flowing in here, guys. Just kind of just ramping up nicely from 88 to 95. It's a big move. Careful with that one, guys. Please be very careful. Again, watch the number of shares you take on this. You're gonna make your money here on the move, not on the size you take. Very important, right? Think about how much can you lose first. Think about risk management before you put on that trade. NEO is good. I see AMD by Think Grow Awesome. One of our longtime viewers here on YouTube. AMD this morning, pretty much flat right now. Man, look at AMD. It finds a way. With all the chip stuff and everything going sideways here, AMD finds a way to just continue to crush here. 400,000 shares traded right now. Pre-market action, not all that exciting, but the daily does look very good for a possible continuation here. So I'll add them on here, AMD. EQOS. I see that on both sides there by Jonathan and Mick Chan over there. So EQOS right now up 56%, 8.2 million shares traded. I don't like this price action.
Big pop, but I'm not really liking the chart or the price action.
I'm with you, Norm. I don't like this. You know, you have the nice pop here, and now you're just kind of dwindling down a little bit here. Yes, you have volume, and even that volume is not trading pretty clean either. So, not a big fan of this one. I think that the price action is just too weird for me for that type of price and the way that is flowing. BYND we do have, that's good there. Christian's letting you know that the BYND sausages are good. The patties are so. So there we go. HUT pretty much flat right now. 200,000 shares traded. I know, guys, this is not in play. We are going to find better stuff than this, John G. I hope so. We're gonna find better than this. I mean, right now it doesn't look good. Can it change and be the best stock ever? Absolutely. But at the moment, I believe we're gonna find something better than this. All right. LCID, we're good. We have that there. What else we have down here? Snap.
Yeah, I got a new quote now. Ron I love that, man. Pumpy Dumpy sat on a wall. Talking about pump and dump stocks. Pumpy Dumpy sat on a wall.
Yes. I agree with that 100%. Snap here, guys. Snap, it had the big drop. They're pretty much been sideways for right now. I don't know. I think they're gonna bounce back. I don't know if that's going to be today. This is a great one to have on the scanners. I do like the fact they're up 1.5. The volume is a little bit light for Snap, right? Snap usually gets in the millions. I'm gonna throw it on here. Don't worry, guys. I know this list looks long, but there's a lot of stuff we're gonna chop up pretty easily off this thing here. NCLH. No, I don't think it's really in play right now. Up 1.5. I don't see a whole lot going on at the moment unless there's some kind of news. CCL 1.2 as well. Again, I don't see anything explosive at the moment for these. Tesla, we gotta take a look at Tesla, of course. They're pretty much flat right now after such a look at this thing, guys. It's just, can we just go back on Tesla? I mean, it's just insane what this stock has done. After their split, what, a year ago was it they split, Norm? Was it a year ago? Or maybe more than that? Something like that, right? I mean, wow, just madness. Yeah, I think they'll be interesting today. I'm not sure if you're gonna get a huge move out of these guys. It'll be insane if they go back up to that 1050 and push higher. I'm gonna just put them here. I'll make some room. I know there's a lot of stuff we can take off here. All right, let's pick a couple off of YouTube. We were doing that already, so we're going through this. Tesla, we have RDBX. What is that? RDBX. What stock is this? They're up 61%, 3.9. Recent IPO here, so it just opened up yesterday. Looks like RDBX. What company is this? We are looking at, I don't have information just yet. So I don't have no information as far as flow. Obviously, very risky because you can see here the high of
Red
this
box.
is 28. What's this?
Red box.
Is that movie thing that oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so very risky. Recent IPO. We could put it here next to our risky pile. We can probably get rid of EJH.
Yeah, I didn't know these existed anymore.
You know what? There's a Walgreens by me
They're
that
popping
still
on a
has it.
blockbuster acquisition or something.
Okay. Yeah, there's
Nobody's getting my jokes.
that there's a Walgreens that has it, but I don't know. I don't know how they still in business with all the streaming stuff. This is not. Can we short this? Can we short this now? Short this to zero. I mean, let's go, guys. Refinance your house. Let's short this.
Needs more history. I mean, that spread is nasty too. 30 cents on a $19 stock is pretty spready. I don't know. I mean, to me, I think we need more history. At some point, for some reason, maybe it trades well. I don't know what's going on with this. I did hear about them coming out the last few days, but just need more history. These recent IPOs, unless they have a ton of action, are tough.
Yeah, I agree. And I would not want this for the short side, obviously. Even if we have shares for short, guys, just be very careful on this. All right, let's stop here. Let's go over to our community announcements and events. Guys, we have a whole lot here, but don't worry. We're going to come in here. We're going to chop this up pretty nice, and we're going to be able to get a nice list together here. Let's go ahead and bring up our community webinars coming up.
All right, guys. Tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, you're going to have Andrew talking about opening range breakouts. And then next week on Tuesday, 8 p.m., you're going to have Kyle talking about important metrics to journal. The description on this slide for Andrew's webinar is wrong. It's duplicated from the Kyle webinar, but it's correct on our site if you want to dig into that. But yeah. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, new guest presenter for our psychology series. Andrew Miniker is going to be talking about techniques to improve your trading psychology. So Ed's asking about when a specific session is going to be posted. I think they are all posted, Ed. I don't think we have any outstanding webinars to post. He's asking specifically about Thor's mentoring, which he did not do last week because he was at the NYSE. And so it would have been from the week before. And I'm sure that's in there. So you can search in the webinars and find them. Anyway.
Yeah, and just to answer that overall question, when the webinars are done, usually by the next day, by 4 p.m. before the market closes, that webinar will be up and posted unless there's something that we have to figure out. But other than that, by the next day, it should be posted.
All right. Any of the super chats revenue that like what we've had donated this morning, that's going to be going to National Breast Cancer Foundation for October. We'll announce the new charity for November next month or next week. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day. Of course, it should have entries and exits. Add any commentary you can to it. Post it on Twitter, tag at Bearable Traders, at MikeB_BBT, and at NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We will announce the winner each afternoon in the room and on Twitter, and then all those trades of the day are eligible for Trade of the Week, which is voted on by the team over the weekend and announced on Monday. If you are watching on YouTube and you haven't been in the room, you'd like to give it a shot, you go to bearabletraders.com, scroll down the page till you see that test drive button as it is pictured on your screen. You can click that, and when you check out, use the promo code premarket24. It'll get you a discount off that membership. It is not recurring billing, so it will only bill you the one time, the discounted rate of the $24 for 7 calendar days, 5 trading days, after which it cancels itself. If you'd like to continue on, you have to go choose either a monthly or annual membership. And then also, speaking of annual membership, if you'd like to become an elite member and get access to all the webinars, the recorded ones, the live ones in the past and the future, use the promo code FALL40. It'll get you a discount off the annual elite membership.
Thank you, Norm, so much for that. All right, guys, let's get to it. See what we have here. OC, starting with our main list. We're going to look through this and see what we're going to keep. I have OCGN here, guys. They're very, very active. 7.9, almost 8 million at the moment, up 21%. Let's see if this price action just looks a little funky right now. Let's see if this can break out one way
That is
or the
super
other. I mean, it's just choppy. We're pushing a lot of volume here, and usually this is how it trades in the after the bell. So I'm not a fan of it. I think I'm going to move this down. I believe I can have something better on my list. We'll put it as a possible because it is in play. You do have volume there. It's just, is it going to trade clean or not? For the most part, every time I watched it, it doesn't. TIGR, I don't like TIGR neither. Again, we got some good volume here, guys. Up 16%. This pre-market action is a little funky as well. I'm going to move this one down too. So see, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't look that good this morning on this list. So we're going to bring this one down, TIGR. It's more of a possible. The only way these two can come out winning here is if they break out in one direction with the volume they have. They have amazing volume, but if they can break out in one direction and trend nicely, that is where we're going to have fun with these two. But from what we've seen, they're very difficult in doing that. Dkng, now, on the other hand, I know this looks choppy, but I like their pop this morning. I like that they're up 7.6, and I like the fact that they are slamming against this area of resistance. So I like that there. I'm going to keep this one on deck. And I know it might take them 15, 20 minutes to settle down, but they can run pretty good when they are in play. And this morning, I believe they are in play with that catalyst, plus the volume you're getting now. Here's Nvidia, guys, starting to build a nice pre-market action here after 8 a.m., so we'll keep that on there. Facebook, yeah, Facebook is definitely in play. We're slamming right back down here towards the previous day close. Let's see what kind of movement we're going to get out of this one. AMD is okay. I think it's more of a possible. We'll leave it there for now. Tesla will be fun to watch today. All right, TIGR, OCGN, both got great volume. We'll keep them on there. Here is Snap. Snap this morning. I'm on the fence on it. Let's keep it there for now. PLTR, I'm going to remove PLTR, guys. It's just one of these stocks. If you guys are watching it, say something, call it out. I'm going to remove it. ACGN, this is just nasty. Look at this. This is not good. Don't let this volume, this pop over 15%. It's just not trading well. It doesn't look good at all. Had a decent day yesterday. I'm just concerned with this one. Yeah, I'm going to remove it. Let's remove it for now. Here's Perry this morning. Pre-market action is okay, up 13.7, 228,000. Daily doesn't look great, but I like the breakout here. You know, I don't think we ever watched this one before, but I don't like the daily price, the daily volume though. Daily volume is a little bit lighter. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll hold it on here for a little bit longer, but it's not looking good. Logitech, love to drop, down 7%, 219. I'm just concerned that this stock, for the most part, doesn't trade very well. Let's get rid of it. BYND, we'll keep this one on here, slamming against the lows here again of that 92. Let's see what happens there. Lucid this morning, they're pretty much flat. Right now. They got great volume. Let's see. And then we have Neo here. What is Neo doing? Neo back into the green area at the moment. Good dailies here. Been a nice uptrend. Can they break out of this area? That's a good possible as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5. What can we move up to our main list? Can we move anything else up to our main list? Maybe Neo, or we just leave it like that. DWAC this morning, they got great volume. That's good. DWAC is good. A bucket here, BKKT looking good as well. EJH, yeah, I'm gonna remove this one, guys. I mean, this is just getting pretty nasty here. Let's get rid of that. They got some volume here, up 27%, but that's getting pretty scary there. RDBX, again, we don't have shares for short on this, which will be dangerous anyway, but just not a whole lot of history, as Norm mentioned, and that's important to get some levels in here and kind of prepare for that. All right, I think we have a better list this morning now. Who do we have here? We have Mark or Mac. Mac, thank you so much for... where are you, Mac? Right over here. Thank you so much for the $5 bomb. Where can I find CMEG BBT promo code? So that has been removed, guys. So CMEG removed the that code they used to have. They used to provide $2.90. Was it like a per share pricing? So CMEG doesn't do that anymore for anyone. They have some issues. They removed it. I don't know the whole story behind it, but unfortunately, that is no longer available. So sorry about that. So I think it's $2.95 is what they charge now per order. But thank you for that $5 donation. I appreciate you very much for doing that. Okay, so let's do some levels, guys. Let's start with DKNG this morning. Let's come up here, DKNG. We have the highs of the pre-market sitting at 52.95. We're slamming level there. Towards the bottom, the price action right now, slightly below a nice daily level. Very nice daily level here at 50.60. You can draw a line across that. You can see that right there, 50.60, a great daily level. I'm hoping we can break out of that and head towards the top here. So we got good volume on this one today. Hopefully we can get some good pre-market, not pre-market action, excuse me, some good action at the open. Towards the bottom, guys, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, creating good support down here. So you're all set there. If we were to break out of this 52.93, we do have another area, not as strong as that 50.60, but significant. You got 54.67 here. So we'll slam a level there as well. So again, some good levels around the price action this morning. Be on the lookout for obviously 51 and 52, the whole dollar numbers, but the daily levels here are really sticking out: 52.93 and 54.67 on Dkng. So right now, up 7%, great volume. Let's see where this is going to go today. Here's Nvidia, guys, just been crushing it. All-time highs again right now, just up nicely, popping up 3.2. Low of the pre-market 263.42, and the high sitting at 239.89. So slam levels are there and there, a little bit higher for this one actually. There we go. We can go ahead and highlight that one and delete that. There we go. And again, just unreal. The run they had since all of October, they just been on a tear, guys. Start opening around, what is that, 198 all the way to 239, and it looks like it still has some more room to go here, some more strength. Here's Facebook, guys. A nice pop this morning, but we gave it all back. So we're now down slightly above the previous day close. High of the pre-market 338.84. Below that, you don't really have great levels in here, right? This is a nice level right on there, 338.84. Hence the reason why that is the high of the pre-market. You have another one in here slightly, got a couple of days opening, closing right around that area. And then you have obviously the big main level here, the previous day close, which we're slamming up against now. So I think you're pretty much set there. If you want to level above the 338, just in case we get a nice little bounce here, we do have another one at 343.81. Towards the bottom, highs and lows, previous day close, you're pretty much set there. If we lose this previous day close, you have another level here. I have a lot of days opening, closing right around this 324.53. So that is Facebook. Good pre-market action right now, almost 1 million shares traded. Let's see where that takes us this morning. Here is AMD. AMD is more of a possible, man. They just kind of keep crushing it here. The 441,000 high of the pre-market, all-time highs as well, right? I believe 124.16. Yes. All-time highs here, kind of pulling back a little bit at the moment. And then towards the bottom, you do have your highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. I'm not going to mark down the low of the pre-market here just yet at 123. Let's see if it's going to break down some more, and then we can mark down whatever low of the pre-market comes up next. But we do have the previous day close around 122.36. Let's see if we're heading down towards that area. So we're just slightly up this morning. Here's Tesla. Tesla's just a huge day, looking to get back into the green. Right here we do have 1,009 is the low of the pre-market, and then the high of the pre-market is sitting at 1038.18 is the high of the pre-market, and that's all you really need to add. You don't have anything else. You're sitting here at all-time highs after such a big day yesterday. Are we going to head back up to that 1050 today? Right now looking good in the pre-market. Obviously some profit taking early on this morning. We can see some more of that at the market open, but for the most part this stock is looking really strong, guys. So very nice this morning here. All right, that is our main list. Let's take a look at our moderators lineup, guys. See what's going on here. What our moderators like this morning. I see Thor's coming in with his. Tiffany just posted hers. We'll give a little more time for our guys to kind of put a list there together of what they like so far this morning. Over on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so already. It means a whole lot to us, and it helps us out drastically with our channel. So appreciate that very much. And thank you for everyone with their donations for so far this morning. Appreciate that as well. All right, let's go ahead and resize this here. All right, I see Dima coming in with hers as well. We're going to resize this, move this over here, and bring our list over, and we'll see what our moderators are watching this morning. Okay, so here we go. We have Thor watching SPY, Apple, DKNG this morning, BKKT, secondary list, AMD, DWAC, and Viacom, VIAC. Tiffany's looking at Facebook, Nvidia, secondary list, PLTR, OCGN, and Tesla. Dima's looking at Apple, DKNG, TIGR, and Plug this morning as well. And John is looking at AMD, Nvidia, and Tesla this morning, all looking pretty good so far. Yeah, Jack, you're absolutely correct. I do not have a Snapchat account, so if somebody's giving you a Snapchat account, it's definitely a fake. So be careful with that. And if anybody asks you, "Hey, send us money so we can make you money," that's also fake. We don't do that. So just be aware of the stuff that's out there. Peter coming in with his list. He's looking at AMD, Facebook, and Tesla. Secondary list, TIGR, Dkng, and Nvidia this morning. So pretty good list there. And I think we're all set, guys. 9/11, we're done a little bit early today, which is nice. Let's see what DWAC is doing right now. So kind of push. Yeah, see, DWAC's price action is just wild. Be careful with this one and managing your risk. We're up 96, now down to 89. It's moving. You got some volume on this thing. It's just, I don't know if it's really going to be tradable. BKKT, on the other hand, seems a little bit more manageable. Still got to be very careful with managing risk on this one as well. All right, I think we are pretty much set. Peter's reporting no IPOs for today, no SPACs scheduled to come out this morning. Let's take a look here. GNUS. What's going on with GNUS? Yeah, I think we've seen this before. I think this has popped up before. I don't like the way this thing trades. It seems to be more of a penny type stock, right? It had a pop from $1.30 to $2 yesterday. You're gonna get great volume on these lower price stocks, right? 13 million. The price action is going to be funky. It's just not our style really of stocks to look at. So yeah, this is something that we probably I don't think we ever have on our list. It's just not the way we trade. So yeah, Bruno, you got some movement here. You got some volume, but for the most part, not anything that is looking good for what we're looking to trade. All right, guys, I think we're all set. Guys, thank you so much over on YouTube for joining us this morning. It does mean a lot because we know you have options to go elsewhere, but we appreciate you guys hanging out with us this morning. So make sure you hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if it's your first time here. We are live every Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m. and then Fridays at 8:30, a little bit later on Friday. So thank you so much for that, guys. Let me see if any more moderators coming in with their list. We got 2 minutes and we'll call those out. If not, we'll be ready to hand it over to Brian, and Andrew will be trading live this morning. And we'll be transitioning to our chat room. If you want to get access to the chat, you can do so for $24. Use pre-market 24 for intro membership for an entire week. So you get access to that, get access to my onboarding class with Mike on Mondays. We could hang out, have a couple of laughs, take care of some questions for you, and get to feel what the environment is like. All right. All right, I think we're all set. No more moderators with their lineups. Got 1 minute. We'll do last call in a second, and if then it's not, we will shut it down here, guys. I think we are pretty good at the moment. Quick recap as we wait. Dkng, guys, dropping down a little bit. That is looking very active. Nvidia looking to continue their all-time high run here, looking very good. Facebook dropping, man. I think these guys are gonna go red. These guys are gonna go red today. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Not for them, it's good for us. AMD, everything's dropping. All right, is the SPY dropping a little bit here? Is the SPY pulling things down? No, not really. Not really. SPY is, is doing what it's doing. Tesla looking to go green. Yeah, it's gonna be a good day. We got a lot going on here. All right, here's Brian with his list: Dkng, WBX, JD, and Perry. And let's take a look at both of those. WBX this morning. What do we have here? This just opened up. Oh no! It's really moving. Wow. WBX, guys, got some action going up 175%. Let's add this here next to BBK. Guys, careful with this one. And then we have JD. I used to love JD. Now I can't trade them. I can't trade them good at all. But I used to love JD back in the days, man. But they don't trade the same anymore. Something has changed. Either I changed or something changed, but I'm not as successful with it as I was in the past. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so already, and we will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time. If you want to join tonight, we have an amazing webinar by Andrew. He's going to be talking about his famous 5-minute opening range break up and break down strategy. So he has some examples he's going to show us today, how he trades, some of the stuff he looks for. He might even be jumping on the simulator to kind of show you some live actions of the actual trades he's taken and what he's looking for. So looking forward to that. Don't miss it. If you're on YouTube and you want to join as an elite member, you can get access to that as well. Guys, take care. Trade safe over on YouTube. We'll go ahead and hang out in our chat. Take care, everyone.